Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a Reckless Amoeba podcast. I am your host, Brandon Horvath, and with me are my co-hosts, Brandon Falinger.
Woo! It's October week.
Maybe maybe not after this episode is posted, but I'll.
It's late October week. Woo! Eat the candy.
Yeah, this episode got delayed a week, so it's probably going to be post Halloween, but whatever.
Oh, so everyone's in a a candy coma right now and they can't watch or listen. Got it. Okay.
No,
That means I don't have to try.
everybody's in so much of a candy coma, they will listen.
No. That's not what you said to me. I think they're coma unless there's someone. Actually, you know what? If you know, all right, listeners, all right, do me a favor here. If you know someone who is currently in a candy coma as you listen to this, do them a favor. Take their wireless and or wired, I guess, if you really want to put the risk in there, earbuds, plug them into their ears and set it to this podcast.
Thank you.
We will slowly indoctrinate them into listening to us all.
And also with us, Ryan Stokely.
What
So, guys, you like Burger King, right?
It's very low on my list, but I will admit I have gone there in the past.
You've heard of Spy Family, right?
Spy X Family?
I thought it was pronounced Spy Family.
I'm not sure. Spy Cross Family?
Burger King has a crossover.
Spy Crossover Family?
I haven't seen it, but apparently one of the young female characters is a fan of peanuts. So, their collaboration with Spy Family, peanut butter burgers.
I don't know if that ruins the burger or the peanut butter.
The peanut butter sauce is a base of peanut butter combined with sugar, condensed milk, miso, sesame paste, and cheese.
I'd like to repeat, I don't know if the peanut butter is now ruined or the burger. Because, I'll be honest, Burger King doesn't have high burgers in my regard. Their name is very, very much a lie, in my opinion.
This is Burger King Japan, so...
I like Burger King over McDonald's. That's for sure.
I mean, you're kind of fighting wet sand and, wet flour. It's about the same.
They have a peanut butter royale with bacon, which seems to be a burger patty topped with a chicken patty and the peanut butter sauce. They have a peanut butter royale chicken and a peanut butter and berry burger. So a PB&J on a burger.
Huh.
Again, I don't know what's ruined here, honestly, because neither sound like they work well together. And Burger King does not have good quality burgers.
It was from mid-October to mid-November 2022. So by the time this episode drops, it might be gone in Burger King Japan. I mean, if obviously me being a peanut butter addict, I would be willing to try it.
Well, you now know what the ingredients are. You could make the sauce yourself and use a better burger.
Maybe. But it doesn't say, the exact amounts of everything.
No, of course not. You'd have to trial and error. They won't tell you because it's their trade secret, and then they'll never use it again.
Also on...
So order your international fast food now!
Yeah! Speaking about international fast food, do you guys like chicken tenders?
I mean, I'm down with the chicken tender. Can't say that the tendies don't have my eyeballs.
Let me just see this picture and send it to you guys. How about a fried chicken shaped sleeping bag?
Huh. Weird.
Who actually uses this?
It is a prize currently being in the contest at Moss Burger in Japan.
Like it's even weirder just because it's shaped like the chicken too. So I don't know how comfortable that is to sleep in. Because if you're relatively tall, your legs aren't going to stretch all the way down there.
Maybe?
Also, I feel like maybe it's just the angle this is at. I feel like somebody photoshopped a head on that chicken tender. I feel like that's all this is.
But, like, I'm not too sure if it. Oh, the wing bone acts like a head cushion.
Like I said, it still looks like somebody just photoshopped the head on this chicken tender.
They're giving away 500 of these as prizes in their latest contest.
Cool, an uncomfortable sleeping bag. Great.
Again, this contest runs from mid-October to mid-November. So, stop by Burger King Japan for a peanut butter burger, then stop by Moss Burger and enter to win a sleeping bag.
Yes, just teleport across the world. It's fine.
Yes, or, anybody currently listening in Japan? I don't know.
I doubt that.
Yeah, probably. And besides today's events that will be up on this channel hopefully soon, us being at the 2022 Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, anything going on with you guys?
Well, right before getting on here, I can tell you right now, on the last bit of Saints Courts I had, I got Van Gogh finally.
Ooh, nice!
So I spent some in the morning while we were on our way up there, and right before I left, maybe about half, I was getting jack shit.
Oh.
I came home, spent the last of the courts that I had for like I think another 5 sets of 11 spins,
Mhm.
and I was getting crazy stuff. Like I was getting so many 4-star servants out of nothing.
Ooh.
Granted, most of them were already servants that were maxed out on their noble phantasms, but that's still a 4-star servant.
Oh, and you mentioned that you were going to tell us a story, but I said, like, do you want to save it for tonight?
Oh yeah, no, that's coming up next.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, no, I got Van Gogh on the final spin. I'm like, oh my god, it was all worth it. Now I just gotta save for like the next couple of weeks for Ibuki, and we'll see what happens. Because they're one right after the other, and it's gonna suck for me.
Oh.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you realize this, but at the New Year's, Shiro's coming out.
Really?
Well, I mean, technically his name is Muramasa, but it's Shiro for sure.
Really?
It is most definitely Shiro.
Interesting.
Let me quick pull up an image for you, my good man. Here we go. I'll give you the sprite image and just pop that into the chat. Is that not a Shiro?
That is definitely Shiro.
There you go. It's a Shiro.
Definitely Shiro.
As for some updates, one, actually, there's two really. Blizzard is burning down again.
What?
Overwatch 2 released recently, and it is a flaming garbage pile that nobody's happy with.
Oh, no.
I've been playing it. I really don't see the difference. I mean, there's some of the characters are cool, but the only thing I don't like is you have to literally pay for all the skins. You can't earn them.
Yeah, there's no loot
That's the
boxes
reason.
anymore. There's no
Yeah.
earning. Pay everything.
Yeah, so that kind of sucks ass.
And, well, you have to re-earn all the previous characters on top of earning the new
Nah.
ones.
No,
Did you have a previous account?
yeah, I had Overwatch 1.
Did it pre-unlock it for you then?
I had to link my account. That's about it.
That's why then. New players have to re-unlock every single of the old characters before they can touch the new ones.
Oh. Well, I mean, they had fucking... Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, let's also point out that you bought the original Overwatch for $60, and now they're saying, well, that fucking doesn't matter anymore, and you can't play it.
Well, yeah.
Like, I hear nothing but trash coming out of Overwatch 2 right now. Nobody seems happy with it.
I don't know. I like... There's always people.
I also refuse to touch Blizzard products anymore, so that's also part of my personal bias from all the bullshit their company has pulled. So yeah, there's that. There's also the Bayonetta 3 thing that's been going on, if you guys haven't heard.
I have not.
So, the voice of the titular character of Bayonetta came out recently, by that I mean about 2 weeks ago, saying that people should boycott the game. Donate to charity instead. Because apparently, they offered her, like, this is according to her words at least, $4,000 or something like that to do the entire game, which is fucking pennies.
Yeah.
Especially for the main character who's voicing literally everything. And on top of that, has done so for the previous 2 games. Actually, she said it was less. She called up the creator of the game. I forget what his name is. Like, I can never remember the fucking Japanese names off the top of my head. But point is, called him up, then he offered her the $4,000. She said no. So then she waits for however long until, the 2 weeks to come out with this. And she's like, they are unfair and blah, blah, blah. And then the creator, I guess, came out on Twitter and is like, something along the lines of, it's such a shame that all these lies are being thrown around. Or something like that. Later comes out, as in like earlier this week, that apparently the original number was something closer to 15 grand to do that game. And this is from, I guess, people that must be within like Platinum Games. Because we don't have like names for these people. It's just people who are, aware of the matter. But it's from people who are well known, like Jason Schreier is a well known games journalist, along with some other people from other companies who are like, yeah, we can confirm that what Schreier is reporting here is accurate, like from their own sources. So she was offered much more than the 4K she's assumably, presumably had been given the option for. And in fact, they even, I guess, contacted her later on, closer to the end of the development cycle, and were like, do you want to come back for like a cameo thing? And apparently that's where the $4,000 count was from. To have her do a little cameo as a different character, perhaps. Versus the 15 grand that she was, I guess, originally offered to do the whole game. Now, there's an argument to be had here of, are voice actors paid well enough, which is an ongoing fight. But when somebody pulls some bullshit like this, it makes them all look bad. Also doesn't help that you're attacking the new voice of Bayonetta because of some shit one person said without them really pulling up much evidence to support their claims. So yeah, there's like people yelling at each other for this shit, and it's a shit show. Also, I think Bayonetta 3 either released today or yesterday. So, I think it was yesterday. So, boycott if you want, I guess, or, play the game. From what it sounds like, the original voice actress was not happy with not getting a lot more money, which, fight for your cash, but if you're going to take that gamble, suck it up when it fails. As we don't know what her original counter offer, quote unquote, was to the 15 grand, assuming that is the correct story. Like what she actually asked for. I know that she asked for, I want to call them royalties, but I know that's not right. It's like you get a kickback for every like unit the game sells, essentially. You get something out of that. But I know that was part of it, but I don't know what the lump sum she was looking for on top of like that was. Which, most normal actors get that little kickback. Voice actors don't. Usually, at least. Anyway, yeah, that shit show's going on.
Ryan, anything going on with you?
Not really. Same old stuff.
Yeah.
Got a coif, that's about it. Sweet.
Oh yeah, been playing Outward, the game Outward on Steam. Been interesting. Survival game. which actually has some story and not just go out and survive and see what the hell happens. Fun game. PS2 bit like style graphics, from what I can tell, but I'm messing around still.
Yeah, and maybe you can take a picture of you in the coif, and I can edit it into the Renfair video.
Okay.
Oh right, yeah. The koi. I thought you said koi at first. I'm like, oh cool, Ryan's got a fish.
Yeah.
No,
Shit.
the chainmail coif.
Yes, the chainmail hood essentially.
Yes.
He's gonna look good.
Seems
So, Ryan, today's anime is a stop-motion British film from 2022. The House.
Oh, okay.
What is The House about?
Here, I'm gonna give him one little hint here, if that's all right with you.
Okay.
It's an anthology. That's all you're getting.
Okay.
It's an anthology with 3 different episodes, or like sections.
Yeah.
That's all I'm giving you.
Huh. I mean, that's what it's called.
It's just called The House,
The stop motion.
and it's stop motion.
So it's a haunted house.
I don't know if it's
We are-
even this. You know, you sure it's
We
the
are
same
doing
house?
spooky thing. Is this a spooky episode?
I would say it is.
Yes.
I don't know. It's about a haunted house, right?
I don't know. Is it? You tell me. This
I
is
think
your
it's
yarn to
about
spin.
I think it's about a group of kids hear about a haunted house. They go in it. Spooky season time.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Is the house inhabited? Do people
No,
live in
it's
the house?
it's been uninhabited for a couple years.
All right. Okay.
For
So it's
50
abandoned.
years, like family tragedy happened at the house.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an Addams family kind of setup going here. All right.
No.
So is there a friendly ghost in there? Is there like a Casper or?
Probably multiple ghosts.
Okay. All right. Casper and
Yeah.
his uncles. Got it. And where does the anthology bit of this come in? Because you got 3.
Well, it takes place like every 20 years.
Uh huh.
Like a new group of kids go in this house.
Uh huh.
This house has been like the lore, like the what's that, urban legend of the neighborhood, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So every so often a group of kids goes in there and they go disappear,
All right.
and it's like shows what happens to those people,
Okay.
and that's it.
Does the house ever get unhaunted?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there like any main character ghosts that stick around at all throughout the 3, or is it all just completely random or
Just
different
different
ghosts?
horrible things happen to people.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Why don't you describe what these horrible things are then, sir?
They go missing, dude. They, that's
Okay.
basically it.
Let's just go missing.
Like, yeah. What happens in the house? I guess they fucking disappear like nobody knows.
Okay.
Like they would show like the group go in,
Mm-hmm.
and then just, I don't know, be like the
mean-
kids disappearing, like splitting up.
Well, like, do the kids that die become the new ghosts in the next little thing, or?
Yeah. That's what I'd imagine.
All right.
One thing that I found out interesting once I was reading the credits of this, all 3 sections had the same writer, although the director provided their own storylines for it. So they feel different from each other. Like, granted, it is an anthology, and these are supposed to feel different, but they feel a little bit too different from each other.
All the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the level of spook in them seems to decrease as this movie goes on, because 1 is creepy, 2 is more unsettling, and 3 really isn't scary.
Yeah, maybe now you made me think. Maybe like
It's a little more.
each set of kids goes through and they become part of like the house. They like try to warn the people going in there to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the first story?
And just
How many stories?
3,
And where did you see this?
Netflix.
It is
Okay.
Netflix exclusive as far as I'm
Okay,
aware
cool.
right now.
Yeah. And initially it was going to be about the same family over the different generations in the same house.
That would have been way better if that's
oh,
what we got,
oh
I think.
yeah. Because yeah, like the third one is just like brings hope, but
I don't know if it does. I read it different, I think, than you did.
mm,
Like there's hope, quote unquote, but at the same time, I don't think so.
yeah, it's like there's a hope spot, but at the same time, it's like what's going to happen?
Not even that. That's not even what I'm referencing.
Oh,
I'll talk about it when we get there.
oh, okay. Is this the same house in all 3 vignettes?
See, that's the thing I'm not sure of. Is it the same house but different, like, parallel universes, maybe? Because we're clearly working with something that's like.
Paranormal.
All right, let me put it this way. All right, in the
Mhm.
first story, we're working with humans, right?
Yeah.
In the second story, it's rats, like anthropomorphic rats. And the third one is an anthropomorphic cats with a C.
Okay.
So I don't know how you like dot this I with the idea of just this is the same house outside of being like sure it's the same house, but it's the same house in, parallel universes. Or it's just maybe like the design of the house is what's cursed. I don't know. I don't know how you chain these together outside of just the house's look and whether or not it's the same one in parallel universes.
Yeah. The first section is "And hid within a lie is spun," and it's about this down on their luck poor family who gets a chance of a lifetime to move into a new house.
Oh.
Well, we get to meet with them for a little bit. The father meets up with a couple of like distant family members. They are not impressed by their living space, nor do they like the fact that I guess he married this girl who's his wife.
His extended family are assholes.
Oh yeah, they are very stuck up. We're looking at like right around the turn of the point of like electricity showing up, by the way. The house they live in does not have electricity. It is candles and that is it. However, the new house they do eventually move into has electricity and they're just amazed by it. So currently electricity is for the rich.
Okay.
So it's about that time period we're looking at.
Gotcha.
So, the father, after all the fun stuff with the family, is like drinking, getting drunk, just miserable with anger, goes out for a walk in the middle of the night, pissing at a tree, and then one of those like palanquins show up, the things that like are a little coach that people carry around, have like the poles on either end and people pick it up that way and carry it places. It's just kind of left out in the woods outside, lights glowing. And he's
Yeah.
like, "What's this?" He walks up, gets in, and we don't hear anything, but we see him talking to somebody in there. And that's the last thing we see. Next thing we know, he comes home and he's starving in the middle of the night and demands that his wife makes him food, which she does. And he's like, "Oh, the best thing has happened. You'll never guess." And she's like, "Oh, what is it?" And then he just passes out into his food.
Shit.
And then the next morning, there's a knock on the door from Thomas, who has come to settle the terms of the agreement made last night.
Turns out, distant friend of his father's has some information for him. I also want to point out everyone in this story, that's like they're all human. However, their faces are fucking tiny,
And their
like
foreheads are massive.
creepily tiny in here. Like, let me give you a quick idea of our soon-to-be friend Butler here. Let me snag this, and then just pop this here. I'll give you an idea. Like, the faces are unsettlingly
Oh, okay.
small.
Yeah.
And this agreement is, yes, you have a new house to move into, but you must lose this house and everything inside of it. You can't take anything with you.
Well, they bring stuff with them.
Yep.
Oh.
But it's like, let me get rid of that for you. Let me store that away.
Put it down in the basement.
Yes.
And then we start exploring the house. It's all fancy. There's like a fancy ass. It's not, named, but I'm pretty sure it's a singer.
Sewing machine?
Yep, singer sewing machine with a bunch of beautiful fabric. And the woman's done like beautiful curtains at her old home.
What you mean?
Mhm.
These are ugly curtains.
Yeah, the old family members there are just not pleased no matter what. They're sitting down to dinner at the first day and at the candlelight, and then all of a sudden the electrical lights pop on, and they're like, "Oh my, it's so beautiful." But they're so entranced by it, they don't notice that they're. What do you think Isabel is? 1.5, maybe? She's not even walking. She's still crawling.
Yeah, so I would say like 9 months, maybe.
Yeah, that little girl right there, Isabel, she's not like, she's not feeling it. She's getting tired, and her parents are too absorbed in, like, the amazing lighting and the giant spread of food they now have.
And the amazing fireplace.
And our main character, Mabel, the, 9, I think she is,
Yeah.
year old,
Yeah, 9.
is forced to, like, care for the child now because of how entranced her parents are with everything that's here. So she picks up the little one, takes her back to her room. And during this point, we pass by a room where the workers that are still working on the house, because the house isn't finished yet. They're still doing things. She passes by an open door and sees, one guy with the saw and then 2 other guys. One who looks like he's, sticking up through a floor, and another one who's just standing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a 2x4 that's resting on both of their heads. They're using, the guy with the saw is using them as sawhorses.
Oh shit.
And they just creepily stare and just
I forgot to mention, there's a point earlier where we see something like that. As they were first getting a tour of the house, Mabel walks by and there's just a guy with a saw staring out at her.
And just
and then the door just
breathing
slams in her face.
creepily.
Oh yeah, it's a good 5 seconds of staring before the door just slams on its own on her.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, going back to where we currently were, Mabel takes Isabel back to their room. They can look out the window and see their old home, and they're like, "Well, good night." We cut back to the dad, who's apparently starting to get obsessed with the fireplace and lighting things and just watching the fire. Meanwhile, we have. Oh wait, so Brandon, a quick question for you. Oh, also, we see at one point, as he's burning things, that there's a creepy old man in the corner with a cane on a chair, just laughing like a maniac, but nobody seems to notice him.
The hell?
The wallpaper that is in Mabel and Isabel's room, right, Brandon?
Yes.
Did you notice that it just looks like a bunch of eyeballs
I did.
staring at them?
I
Yeah.
did.
It's like all red except for like some black in there, and it literally looks like
A bloodshot
fucking-
eyeball.
yeah. Hold on, let me I think I can get a screenshot of this. Yeah, here we go. Like, oh, I'm sorry, Orion, with like all the pictures here, but like
It's all good.
a lot of this is just the visual detail coming in that like fucking gets creepier and creepier. Specifically with this one, because it's personally I think the best one of the three. But like there's your wallpaper.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's unsettling.
Yeah. But yeah, Isabel and Mabel wake up. They decide like, oh, let's look out the window. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Where they look out the window and they're like, because they're hearing something, and oh shit, they're building a room outside the window.
Oh damn.
And there's a guy standing there with an axe in hand just staring back in at them.
And was
And
this,
I can see a couple of bottles of beer behind him too, it looks
and
like.
was this before or after they found out their old house was being torn down?
This is before still.
Okay.
I think it might happen right after that.
Mm.
Because they run back out, and like they find out that the staircase is now missing.
What the hell?
And on the floor below, they see their butler, Mr. Thomas, having a
Uh-huh.
little mini meltdown, like a little mini psychological meltdown, until they are like, Mr. Thomas, and he looks back and he's like back into the butler demeanor of like, yes, ma'am. Mr. What's his face? I forget what the builder dude is.
Vanderbeek?
Mr. Vanderbeek is still making adjustments to the house. There's a detour to your right, or whatever it was, which is just a fucking ladder to a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Van Schoonbeek, actually.
Yeah, even better. As she's walking down, she sees a guy with like looks like I think a hammer and chisel, laying like up against the ceiling, like you would if the guy that painted the Sistine Chapel would have. I don't know what that's about, but he's staring at her as she's going down, just breathing heavily.
Good morning.
Walks in, finds her mother asleep at the sewing machine. She must have passed out while working on that. I think she says stuff about like having so much to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, you're rich at this point. Why do you have to make anything? You have servants to do that now.
And the food mysteriously appears each night at the table.
Yeah, and the father is just like, I assume it's my servants making it. Oh, man.
And no, according, I'm just glancing at my notes.
All right. I was going to say, the next thing we find out is her finding her dad giggling at the fact that they're tearing down their old house.
Yes.
That's where we're at
Okay.
this point. And he's like, it's funny. And it's like, what's our house? What are they doing? And he's like, I suppose they need the material. And just starts laughing, giggling to himself. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, at a certain point, I believe this is around this point, we find out like that because they're not showing, like her parents aren't showing up at dinner with them, with Mabel and Isabel. So Mabel looks out and holy shit, we find them in a new fashion that will, as I believe Mr. Vanderbeek, right? That was the name?
Van Schoonbeek.
Mr. Van Schoonbeek, says, will complement the house better. And they're just like, it looks beautiful. It's the best fashion ever. And as I was telling you, Orion,
Mm-hmm.
I have a new image for you. It's so
Their
beautiful.
couches,
You know, you're not far off.
the chairs,
You're not far off. You got one. You got one
stools,
of them, actually.
a stool,
Nope.
fucking
Nope. One of them is a chair, or starts to look like one.
Yeah.
What's
And
the other one? Any guesses? Go on.
A
We're getting...
curtain?
Hey, there it is.
yes.
You know, here's the poetic irony is that the wife is always making curtains and now she's becoming one. I'm not quite sure what the chair's poetic irony is in this.
Yeah.
Mabel comes in, she says they look ugly. Her dad is like, "Why would you say that? You need to apologize." Apologize now, Mabel. And eventually, after like a bunch of cajoling, she does. But she's like, "I hate this house. This house is the worst." She and Isabel are all sad, and then she follows Isabel, who's like crawling around outside the crib. They find a new door that leads to like a drop off and a brick looking staircase, right? Like, I don't know, maybe
5 feet down, 10 feet
I
down.
was gonna say 4 to 5 feet down before they hit the stairs of it. But they drop down and they start exploring, and oh my god, they find in what I assume must be the basement a reconstruction of their old house, including all of the things they had originally brought with them. So they sleep down there in their old beds. Meanwhile, next thing we know, the parents are eating alone, still in their ugly ass fucking fashion. The kids wake up trying to find out how to get back, and the house has now been changed again.
And Thomas is just freaking out over this.
Oh yeah, no, they eventually find Thomas as they're wandering around trying to figure out how to get back. And he's like drunk as shit and having his own mental breakdown like fully this time. Screaming about how like things keep changing. I'm not even a butler. I'm an actor. I read scripts. They keep making me tell you things. I can't take it anymore. Just losing it. Meanwhile, the father's in like the study as the wife is like dead working on like the curtains, head down. The father's staring in the fireplace like, "I can't get this to light, Thomas. What could I do?" And Thomas drags in his old chair from his old house and is like, "Well, you had this in the basement, sir. Well, we could find a new use for it, I assume." And you see the father's head go like slowly creaky 180 to look back at that thing because he's still like bent over looking into the fireplace like he's on all fours.
Yeah.
So yeah, head goes bent like creaky bent back 180 to try and stare at it. He's like, "I guess I don't need that anymore. I can think of a better use." So he starts lighting the fire with his old chair. Meanwhile, Mabel and Isabel are wandering around and find a hole in the floor. And they look down, and here they must be in like a crawl space or something, or at least a like quote unquote invisible floor between the two main floors. Because they see their father dragging shit from the basement that they were just sleeping in that night to the fire, and they call out to him being like, "Papa, we need help. We're hungry. We can't do this much longer, Papa." And he's just so obsessed with this fire thing and dragging shit there. Meanwhile, you know, Mabel and Isabel are wandering along. Isabel has been put into like a wheelbarrow they have found to like make sure she doesn't have to crawl with like a lantern.
Yeah.
This is where they found Thomas then, as he's sitting there crying drunk. Eventually, they curl up there and fall asleep in the light.
But during Thomas's breakdown, didn't like a huge face appear behind him?
I don't remember it showing up. I think they just turned and left him.
Okay, because I have in my notes during one of Thomas's freakouts, a giant face appears behind him.
I mean, I'm looking at this one right now, and we'll see in a second, but nope, it just cuts away from him as they leave. So I don't know when that one happens. Or at least I don't remember when it happens. But yeah, they fall asleep up there. And the next thing we see is... what is it? The carrier thing that we first saw Mr. Hammersoon or whatever is. I cannot remember that name for the life of me.
Van Schoonbeek.
Van Schoonbeek came in, is just randomly in the study now. The chair that the mother was in is turned over, and the door slowly opens, and you see the reflection of the fire. And Van Schoonbeek walks up, just chuckling to himself, as the mother and the father stare into the fire. Just, oh man. He's so happy with what he's done. And then, for one reason or another, Isabel and Mabel wake up, rather than in that weird section that they were in that they fell asleep in, right
Yeah.
outside the study with the door open. And they walk on in, and what do they find? 2 chairs sitting in front of the fire. They're like, Mama? Papa? Oh no, my dollhouse is in the fire burning! And then, oh no, the chair is talking to them. And then the curtains start talking to them, and they put it together that it's their parents. And the fire starts spreading throughout the room. And then the mother, in like the last glimpses of what would be their sanity, both tell her, the mother and father tell her to run. The mother tells her save Isabel, and throws out like her drapiness out the window for them to climb down as the house starts to burn.
Damn.
And our last shot is them walking away from there in like this wintry foresty area, looking back on the house on the hill there, literally smoking and burnt out. We can only assume that their parents burned to death in there after what they became. And now those 2 are kind of on their own with absolutely
Damn.
nothing.
The end.
Story.
Wow.
As the sun rises on that bullshit.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure if the girls are as good as dead.
The only thing they could do is try to get to their father's like distant family somehow. Is the only connection as far as we've seen that they can get, and who knows what that's going to lead to.
Yeah,
Because they were not liked by the family.
not at all. So, the second story. Then lost is truth that can't be won.
Damn.
So we're in more modern era now, but we're with a rat.
Yes.
And apparently the house is on the corner of a street. So the rat is like, oh man, gonna spiff up this house, talking to my honey on the phone. Gonna make this place great, invested all my cash into it, and we're gonna turn this thing around and sell it for mucho bucks.
Oh, bugs, bugs. Get away, bugs. Get away, bugs.
Yeah, he finds, as he's working on it, that he's got a bit of an infestation. So he's, paranoidly cleaning up the bugs, doing what he has to with the poison. Having a good old time. A lot of that. He starts trying to have a party. They deliver the wrong food to him, and he's like, I'm supposed to have, like, these fancy hors d'oeuvres. What I have here is, like, instant noodles. What am I supposed to do with this? The party's in, an hour. So, having that paranoid freak out. The people are in there dirtying up the house with shit after, he's spent all that time cleaning it up.
There's a little toddler out with like an ice cream cone, just like waving it around, painting
Throwing
the
it on
walls
things.
with strawberry.
Yep, on the fish
What the
tank, on the
hell?
big old fish tank. We get a top-down view of like the bright white carpet on the second floor, getting like dirty footprints all over it. Eventually, he starts trying to like sweet talk people. He doesn't doing a bad idea until the house's lighting starts glitching out.
And the music starts glitching out and plays like the wrong song.
Yep, he's supposed to have a turkey in the oven that has a rotisserie, and it just cuts over to that, and it's like 2 very sad-looking hot dogs, and one just plops off the rotisserie. It's like, oh, like this is getting sad. And then we see like a very squat and a very tall-looking rat or whatever.
We are
And-
very interested in this house.
Yes, they're very interested in the house. And he's like, "Oh, good. I'm glad." So, it gives them some time to look at the house. And then, like, as night is hitting the time, he's like, "They're still in here." So he goes to check on them, and they're, like, getting ready for bed. Like, they're in pajamas, and they're like, "Yes, we're very interested in the house. How are we supposed to know if we want to buy it if we can't sleep in the beds?" Like, okay, I guess.
Oh,
Meanwhile, he sleeps in like the basement area with the hidden door underneath the staircase.
oh, and do you have any more of those hors d'oeuvres? They were delicious.
He acts, he wakes up to them like looking in the living room and like wearing robes and trying to like get the TV to work.
We are very interested in this house.
Yep. And then he starts tripping out, I think. I forget what happens that causes it.
No, he also sees them taking a bath.
Was that I think that's after.
Okay.
After he wakes up from this.
Mm.
But he starts having this like weird delusion of like bugs dancing all over the place.
Uh-huh.
An extended dance sequence with like all these bugs climbing out of
Yeah,
the
like-
walls.
Like beetles and what looks like larva or something specifically. Like here, I'll give you a quick screenshot of this one. Because unlike the first one, visuals aren't as big a thing in this. To like
Okay.
get the point across. Hold on. Here we go. Edit, copy. Yeah, we got like a Broadway number going on here. And then he like wakes up from his like weird daze. Yeah, to find them in the bathroom.
We are
One of
very
them-
interested in this house.
Well, one of them's just gnawing on what I think is supposed to be like the scrub brush for scrubbing your back. And the
What
other one's
the
like
hell?
blow drying their hair. Just, full on naked. Perfectly fine.
Naked.
And he starts like calling the police, being like, "These people won't leave. You need to get them out of this house." All this time, he has also been calling his like sweetheart or whatever pet name he's been calling this person on the other line. Being like, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna get the best deal out of this house. I got people interested. Aren't you excited for me? So yeah, then we go to him opening up for the police at the door. He's like, "Oh damn, that was quick after I just called you guys." And then go on, Brandon.
And then they say,
tell
like,
him?
Your dentist is very upset with you.
I don't even know if it's his dentist. That's the thing. I don't even know if it's his.
Yes, but he's been calling this dentist, who he may have a delusion for, because they make it sound like the dentist is male.
Yes, they do say Mister.
Mm.
So it is definitely a male dentist, at least by the name.
Yeah, so he's been calling this dentist, flirting with this dentist and he usually winds up being very apologetic on the other end of the phone. So you can tell this person is like, "Stop calling me."
Yeah. So they give him the big old warning not to do it. Like, stop it. You call him again, we're going to send you to jail.
And
And he's trying to argue, like, there's people in here that need to leave my house.
And then the police leave, and the couple's relatives come.
Yes.
We are very interested in this house.
Yep. And he finds more bugs, and he starts grabbing some, like, poison. And then it hits him in the face because he, like, opens it too hard or whatever. And it just splashes in his face. And then next thing we know, he's waking up in a hospital after having ingested too much poison.
Luckily, he has some visitors.
The couple. And they take him home, where the family is ready with a welcome home party.
Orion, do you want to guess the twist of this?
Let me just give him a little bit of a hint for a second. when he gets back to the house, everyone's clapping that he's come back.
Mhm.
And I noticed that some of these guys have some extra pairs of arms that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Oh.
So where does this go, Orion?
Aliens?
Nope.
Mortal Kombat?
Nope.
Mutants? I don't know.
They're all
Maybe?
bugs.
Oh,
they're
yeah, that makes
all
sense. Okay.
weird bugs. And I don't
Okay.
know if you're correct with mutants or if there's something else.
I
But the house
guess
is getting destroyed.
I guess the ending of this, like halfway through, I'm like,
Oh, really?
wait a minute. I'm like tall and squat, and I'm like, I think these may be bugs, like giant bugs.
It hit me when I saw the extra pair of arms what they were.
So I guessed it before you did. I
You
feel
did.
I
You
feel
did.
good. I feel good about this.
Because I was too like hamstrung with like, where is this going? Because this isn't creepy yet. I was trying to see where it was gonna go fucking off the wall.
Yeah, but just the couple, and we are very interested in this house. It's just unsettling.
It is. It's definitely unsettling. But my question became like, I know something's fucked up with them. I don't know what, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, are they gonna be a cult? Like, what's gonna happen here? Like, I was expecting more like, because of the setting, I think I was expecting more realistic kind of horror
hmm
than like, oh, they're all giant bugs. Which, you know, kind of leads to what the fuck are they actually? Because nobody else seems to know this shit.
Yeah.
Because they still have like fur and rat faces and shit, but they're acting like the larvae and beetles we saw earlier. Hell, even their clothes kind of make them start looking like that when you look at them in the right angle.
Oh, I did not notice that part.
Like, here, hold on. This scene specifically really screams it with like, especially the one in the bottom corner here. Because, like, with the leather jacket he has on, it looks like it's the shell of a goddamn, beetle.
Okay. Oh. Huh. Yeah, so these bug things start destroying the house from the inside,
Gnawing on wires, eating the stuffing on the couches, in the couches.
crawling up the side of the wall.
Yep.
And our little mouse friend finally snaps, takes off his clothes, and starts behaving like an actual mouse.
Yep, he's reverted. In fact, he's made his little den inside of that rotisserie oven, which he's opened up and burrowed a hole into the back of.
End of story 2.
Yep.
And story 3 is Listen Again and Seek the Sun.
Mm-hmm. Where we open up on what looks to be like a sunken city.
Post-apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm. Where the only thing currently above water is the house. That's, I'm going to assume, originally on a hill above the rest of the area.
Okay.
We wake up to our buddy, what's her name? Our cat friend
Rosa.
here? Rosa, yes. We wake up to our cat owner, Rosa, who's been trying to repair the house. Restoration plan, if you will. And apparently, from what I kind of put together here, it seems like she might have grown up in the house and her parents owned it.
I think.
That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. But she's got these big plans and she's trying to fix it up. New wallpaper, only to find out that there's shit water again. Like brown water, sludge. But she's like, oh, whatever, we'll try it. Tries to put up, you know, the wallpaper. Ruins the glue. Just keeps falling down. Very upset about it. We move on to our buddy Elias, I think, right? That was his name? Black cat?
Yes.
Yeah, she walks up on him, knocks on his door. She's like, where's my rent? Give me my rent. You haven't given me rent in years, and I don't take fish for rent. You can't pay me in fish.
Because he's a fisherman.
Yep.
Okay.
Or at least, he's gotten the skills of one with the flooded city and all.
Yeah.
One of the two. But no, he's like, all right, I guess I have to. And she goes down to meet her other tenant, quote unquote. Jen, who is like a new agey kind of like woman who's all about the herbal teas and stuff, Forget what she tries to pay her in, because it's not food. Oh, you know what? It's because she tries to like clear out the bad energies in Rosa. That's her payment.
Crystals.
She gives her a crystal. Yes, that's it. And she's like, "You've given me 6 of these already." But they sit down to a little bit of food. They start having a talk, and it's like, "I want to fix this up. No one's here to help me. Nobody pays me rent, so I can't buy the supplies." To which my question is, where are you buying these supplies?
Yeah.
There's nothing above water right now. Where are you getting this stuff? Like, when you do get the money, where are you spending it? If nothing else, you should have been ripping apart other houses to do this, rather than, trying to buy it somewhere that isn't available. But yeah, they have the nice talk. Jen mentions like a boyfriend of hers who's like good with his hands and that he's gonna be here soon to, do stuff with me or take me away or what have you. I forget what the exact word is. Meanwhile, she's like, "Oh yeah, also, the water's brown again. Can you fix that?" So, Rose is like, "Yeah, fucking whatever." Gets in the bathtub of the room, starts smacking it with like a wrench or something, only for all the brown water to slop out on top of her. So, next thing you know, we have Elias fishing away, pays Jen in a fish, which she told him she's not accepting. She finds Elias and Jen watching and laughing at TV, which I guess if they're satellite, they're getting something. Then next thing we hear is like not a didgeridoo. Was it like throat yodeling or something that?
Yeah.
Which is the new boyfriend of Jen's that has shown up on the island here.
Cosmos.
Yes, Cosmos. And both Jen and Elias here are very impressed with him. Rosa sees him as a freeloader. Until he reveals, because she's going to charge him rent, because he sets up a tent on her little island property.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to be like, "I should charge you rent." It's like, "I don't deal in the physical monetary systems."
Because what is currency but the coins and notes? That's exactly what currency is.
That literally, Rosa's just like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
"I tend to barter with my skills," and he pulls out like a thing full of tools, and Rosa's over the moon with the idea of like getting him to help fix the house.
I'll be back in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she brings him in on her restoration plan, and he's like, "Oh, I love this idea, and it's so good, but I need to get to know the house, feel its energies and all that. I'll start work tomorrow." And they're like, "Oh, it's such a great idea. I'm so glad you're here. This is great. Finally, someone that's useful, basically." So, we get some time with Cosmos and Jen doing a little, back and forth together. Elias is there doing his thing. We get to the next morning when we hear a whole bunch of, like, somebody working on stuff. And we find that Cosmos is like, "Good morning, Jen. We're waking up late," and he's been working like the last hour or two or something like that. And she goes upstairs to where he came from because he's carrying boards down, and she's like, "Oh no. Oh no, 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 no." And he's like torn apart the entire hallway on one of these floors.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no floorboards whatsoever, and you have to go between like the I-beams that were in between.
Yeah.
And she starts screaming at him like, "You've ruined everything. What are you? Get out of my house. Get out. I don't know how I'm going to fix this. I'm not going to deal with your bullshit." Meanwhile, he's just like tapping away on the thing. And apparently with those floorboards, he's helped Elias build a boat.
Because Elias also plans on leaving.
Elias has been planning on leaving for a while. And she's like, I want my boards back. Just, like, get rid of this boat. And he's like, I'm leaving, Jen, essentially. Jen goes back up to her room after being like, fine, leave, fuck it, I don't care. Moping away. She's trying to fix the house again, like putting up the wallpaper. This time the water isn't bullshit, so the glue works.
Because it's implied Rosa may have feelings for Elias.
There seems to be
Okay.
that, but it could also be just the friendship of it all.
Hmm.
You know, since they're like been the only three for months based on her little calendar.
Yeah.
But you know, Jen falls asleep after doing all that work. Elias looks in on her, leaves her alone.
Rosa falls asleep.
Sorry, Rosa, not Jen. Rosa. Come the next morning, Elias casts off. He leaves to the sound of the didgeridoo that Cosmos has and Jen waving him off.
Throat yodeling.
No, he's got a didgeridoo
okay,
this time.
Okay.
And Jen comes down, or not Jen, Rosa comes down, not believing that he actually left. You know, and Jen's just like, he's been meaning to for a long time. And then
he didn't know how to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, she also bumps into like part of the sign that says vacant or whatever, the vacancy sign. Cosmos tells her, that's for you, Rosa. If ever you want to leave here, just push this. Won't take much strength, just a little bit to make it move. And she's like, I don't want to leave, and blah, blah, blah. Also, at this point, I should point out that the waters come up to their ankles, like even standing on the tallest part of the island.
And the fog is rolling in.
Yep, it's like, you can't stay here. There's going to be nothing left. Like, she's not realizing that the entire thing is still sinking. Why are you still here? Like, she's in denial about that. She runs upstairs because she finds out they're leaving, reads a note with another fish that Elias has, and finds out now that he's an artist, and she had no idea. Like, she left him two gifts, the fish and the art pieces.
And it's all pictures of her.
I don't think some of it is. I think some of it is just some like still lifes of like flowers and some flowers and stuff as well.
Okay.
It's not all her, but some are. You know, they're looking out. Her and Jen start having like a little heart to heart, and Cosmos lifts open the window and lets the mist into the house. And then Jen does the same thing while they're out in the little greenhouse with her and Rosa. And Rosa starts having a freak out because everything's just whited out. She can't find Jen. She doesn't know what's going on. Having like a little vision trail of seeing things in the past with Elias and stuff from prior. Finally, she wakes up out in Cosmos's tent for some reason, only to see Jen and Cosmos way in the distance floating off. And then she bumps...
The water's still rising.
Mm-hmm. Bumps into that thing that'll let her leave. And so, in an act of desperation, she pushes it. Literally cracks the foundation around the house and opens up like a captain's wheel at the top of the house with a propeller. And she runs to the top, grabs the wheel, you know, gets encouragement from Jen and Cosmos as they're like fading into the fog. And eventually, it works. It breaks away, and the house itself has now become a boat. And she meets up with Elias and Jen and Cosmos again, and they're essentially like a little fleet now. And as they boat off into the sunset, end 3.
And why do you not think this is a positive ending?
Because Jen never let go of what was holding her in place. Or not Jen,
Rosa.
Rosa. I keep mixing them
Oh.
up. Like,
Oh.
she still couldn't leave the house.
Hmm.
She had to take her obsession with her.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
Like, she could not leave it behind.
This looks really cool, though. I'm probably gonna watch this.
Oh, yeah, it's some very good stop motion.
How long is it? Like an hour and a half?
Hour and a half,
Yeah,
30
hour and
minutes
a half
per story.
total. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But yeah, I don't think this is as good as an ending as it might first appear. I think the fact that she's still towing along that obsession that she can't let go of
Mm.
is a problem.
Now, when you phrase it like that, I can see it. Yeah, but like definitely, the third one is like the least scary out of all the others.
It's the least dark. I would personally think like this is like the third one is a more like it's a more mentally driven one rather than like an actual dark twist. It's more of a depressing twist in my mind.
Yeah, it's more of like, no, I don't want to say psychological horror, but the horror of moving on from something that you're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Maybe existential is more the other idea, I guess, a little
Existential
bit.
dread.
That could be. Just the idea of not being able to let something go.
Mm-hmm.
You have the rat who's just the rat's kind of the other side of this coin, where he is so obsessed he breaks down.
After all his hard work gets ruined.
Mm-hmm. And even then, that one's technically an outside force that breaks him down into like becoming fully broken, right? Like we don't know how much of the poison fucked him up.
Yeah.
And how much of it was just him being initially fucked up to begin with, what with the dentist thing.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't already tight to begin with.
And the first one is just weird.
The first one is honestly the most horrifying.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly think this may have worked better as individual episodes if it was like 6, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would
and,
take a lot longer to make this, but yeah.
actually, I think this took 20. Oh, each of the 3 segments required more than 20 weeks to produce.
Damn.
Yeah, so, multiply that by 2. So, it would be, 20 weeks apiece, 60 weeks total.
Yeah.
That's at least a year. That's a little over a year.
Mhm.
Would have taken a little over 2 years. Maybe 2.25 years
Yeah, yeah.
to make it at that rate.
hmm
So making it like an episodic series probably wouldn't have been the best for like investment and turnaround time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But this was
Seems
really interesting.
I like it. I like the art style. You don't see a lot of like stop motion really.
I would love stop motion. Like, this looks really cool.
It's very cool.
Is it?
I thought it was going to be much more horrifying than it was. Like I was expecting like, Halloween style horror.
Yeah.
And we did get that in the first one, not so much in the second and third, I feel.
hmm
Like they took different tracks with the style of horror they went into.
But yeah, so you will be watching this sometime down the line, Ryan?
I might watch it before I go to sleep, to be honest.
We hooked him.
This looks really cool.
We got him.
Especially it's a movie. I could toss it on it.
Yeah.
Play something.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this does it for this episode. Come back next time when we find out working in the anime industry is a lot harder than you think it is.
Yeah.
Until then, we'll catch everybody later.
Bye.
See ya.